Gentlemen, boys and girls from around the world, we are live, and this is the day that the Lord has made, and we're already rejoicing and glad in it. Happy Thursday. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Ramon Preston Show. For those of you that are coming on, joining us live, please do me a quick favor. Hit the like button, hit the share button, tag Lolly Dolly, everybody, and let them know that your boy, Ramon Preston, and my squad, we're live on this beautiful Thursday, and we certainly appreciate you joining us for today's lesson on elevating your financial maturity. Just in case you missed yesterday's live show, we talked about elevating your financial maturity, and I want to continue talking about elevating your financial maturity today for part 2. So please put in the comments what city, what state you're watching the Ramon Preston Show from. DL, my friend, I see you. Thank you for joining us today. We're doing absolutely amazing over here, and our prayers that your day is going absolutely amazing as well. Again, for those of you that are coming on, joining us live, please put in the comments what city, what state you are watching the Ramon Preston Show from. So I'm going to be following up with the conversation we started yesterday on how to elevate your financial maturity, okay? How to elevate your financial maturity. And one of the very important things I shared yesterday that I want to repeat again today is financial maturity is different than financial literacy, okay? Financial maturity, what we're talking about, is different than financial literacy. And to simplify what that difference is, I want to say financial literacy is really the education or the understanding of these economic concepts and principles. Okay, so when you are financially literate, it basically means that you're knowledgeable about economics. You have an understanding of economics. You have educated yourself on certain things regarding economics. That's classified as financial literacy. Financial maturity, on the other hand, is not just your education, your knowledge, or your understanding. Financial maturity is actually your ability to use financial resources correctly. And I truly believe that this is something that a lot of people have to transition to, because I personally, as a business advisor, as an investment advisor to my clients and to the people that I work with, even as a coach and teacher to my students and mentees, what I found is a lot of people are financially literate. They do have an understanding of economics. They have taken courses like our Millionaire Blueprint course, and they are pretty learned and well-versed in the knowledge of economics, whether it's money, business, investing, wealth building. But most of the people who have some level of financial literacy, I have learned that they don't have financial maturity, meaning that they do not have the ability to use financial resources correctly, right? So it's like you can have access to something, you can possess something and still don't know how to use the thing you have access to and possess. And one of the goals that I have, at least for this lesson, is to help you transition from just being financially literate to becoming financially mature. In other words, my goal is to help you go from having knowledge about economics, getting the game about economics, having an understanding and getting information to actually utilizing the financial resources correctly so that you can start seeing not just positive results, but so that you can start seeing exponential results. And we've all been there. So if you're at a point in your life where you're becoming more financially literate, congratulations to you. If you're at a point in your life where you're already financially literate, congratulations to you. Either way, you want to set the goal to become financially mature. That means you want to develop this ability to use financial resources correctly. Because if you just have knowledge about financial resources, but you don't have the ability to correctly use those financial resources, you're still not going to see the exponential results of success that you anticipate to see. Okay? So, again, financial maturity can be defined as your ability to use financial resources correctly. All right? So if you say, I want to become financially mature, what you're saying is, I want to first become financially literate. I want to learn about economics. I want to educate myself more about economics. I want to become more aware of all the financial resources that are available to me, right? And once I learn them and become acclimated with them and familiar with them and educate myself on what they are, I want to then start building this muscle of daily practices that will allow me to use these financial resources correctly so that I can start seeing progress and results and success. And I believe everybody wants that at some level, okay? So back to my diagram that I drew. If financial maturity is your ability to use financial resources correctly, then we can all agree that our goal should be to become financially mature, to be able to use these financial resources correctly, okay? And according to this diagram, what I'm proposing to you for the second day in a row is that financial maturity has two ends of a spectrum, or it has a sliding scale. Let me say it that way. Financial maturity has a sliding scale. Your ability to use financial resources correctly has a sliding scale. So on the low end of financial maturity, there are certain financial resources that you should have the ability to use correctly. On the high end of the financial maturity scale, there are other financial resources that you should have the ability to use. So whether you're a W-2 employee, whether you're a 1099 contractor, a multi-level marketer, a preacher, a pastor, a legitimate business owner, an investor, or all of the above, you, number one, should have a goal to become financially mature, meaning that you should have a goal to take your financial literacy to the next level so that you are able to use financial resources correctly. Once you start developing this ability, you can then start utilizing the different financial resources that we all have access to, but you want to know what each financial resource represents in terms of the financial maturity scale, okay? So even though this can sound like some high level information that you're getting, which it is high level in a lot of sectors, especially in the financial sector, but this is something that you've got to make practical enough to start implementing it and executing it every day with the small things that you do. So let's take a look at this financial maturity scale. It starts on the low end and then it ends on the high end. Now, people who are financial engineers and financial analysts and financial experts, they understand how important all of these financial resources are. But they also understand that some of these financial resources are more important than other financial resources depending on where they fit on this financial maturity scale. Most people across the board, most people, and I say this respectfully, that's why I'm not using the word IQ, I'm using the word maturity because I don't want to insult you or your financial intelligence. So that's why I'm not using the term financial IQ or financial intelligence. But the truth is, most people have a low financial maturity. In other words, they have low financial IQ. How do I know this? Because I've had it. And I know what it is to have a low financial IQ. And remember, when I say low financial maturity, that's why I'm not using the word IQ. I'm talking about maturity in terms of your ability to use these resources. So you can have a high IQ in terms of knowledge and intelligence, but a low maturity. Does that make sense? Let me say it again. You can have a high IQ or a high education and understanding and knowledge of all of these things, but have a low maturity because you're not using them correctly. And most people who know a lot about cash, credit, entity structure, leverage, investment vehicles, they may know a little bit about M&A, they may know about IPOs and the public markets. They have IQ or intelligence and information and knowledge and understanding of all these things, but they have a low maturity level because they do not know how to correctly use these financial resources. Hopefully that can make sense. DL, I see your question in the chat. He is asking, is buying something with credit cards, major purchases like equipment for $30,000, a good idea or a bad idea? It really depends. It really depends, DL. I can't answer that definitively because it really depends. It depends on a lot of different factors. Okay, so let me give you an example of what it depends looks like. If you have a legitimate business plan that makes financial sense, that you've underwritten the potential deal opportunity for, then it may make sense. So for example, okay, you're buying equipment with $30,000 off a credit card. If I'm paying $30,000 from my credit card to buy equipment, but I also have a $30,000 contract to use the equipment, then it may very well make sense. But if I'm taking $30,000 off my credit card and buy $30,000 worth of equipment for it to sit in my house or in my garage because I don't have the business yet, then that may not be a good idea. Because what I should do first before I buy the equipment is sell my idea for what I can do with the equipment and get clients to buy in on what I'm able to do. It's no different than a book, whether it's a $30 book or $30,000 worth of equipment. So I've written 2 books, got a third one I'm working on, just haven't finished, and probably got a whole lot more to write, but I'm just giving you a smaller example. Both of the books that I wrote, I sold the book before I finished writing the book. So I didn't write the book and then order 3,000 copies and sat them in my garage hoping I could sell them. I actually wrote the book with pre-purchases already paid for. So I automatically knew when I ordered 300 books, I was going to send out 200 of them the day I got them because I already made sales and it justified me paying for the 300 books. So I would say the better way to buy something with a credit card or with anything in terms of equipment is to actually get the customer or the client first. Because I don't have to buy $30,000 worth of equipment to go get a client who needs meet my services that require $30,000 worth of equipment. I've done this many times with many different things. Books, I've done it with courses. I've done it with coaching, with consulting. I've done it in real estate. People do it every day. They sell a service. They sell a product. They sell an idea for a service or a product. And once the sale is complete or the deposit is made or the contract is signed, they go buy the actual equipment or inventory that's needed to deliver the product or to deliver on the service. That's how you should do it. I wouldn't pay for stuff first necessarily, especially if I'm just getting started, okay? So hopefully that makes sense. All right, so back to my point. We have low financial maturity, we have high financial maturity, and then we have all of these financial resources that are categorized under this sliding scale, okay? Cash is a low financial maturity resource. Why? Because cash is the first place most people go. So if you talk to most people who are looking to do deals or who are looking to build a business or who are looking to get into investing or who are looking to find an opportunity, most of them will tell you they have limitations because they don't have cash. It is because their financial maturity is low, and that is one of the first resources in this area. Okay? Cash is necessary for things, but it should not be the thing that you build your financial actions around. Why? Because that's a low financial maturity resource. Because if you're over here and you have a high financial maturity, what you'll realize is the things that you do in this world over here doesn't even require cash and may not even require any cash, but definitely not your cash if you know how to structure the right deals and opportunities using financial resources, okay? So we have cash, credit. Credit would be considered a low financial maturity resource because credit is like cash, credit, and entity structure. These are the three. This is, and I say this respectfully, but cash, credit, and entity structure should be like the ABCs of your financial literacy. They should be the ABCs of your financial maturity. Because once you realize that for you to make certain decisions moving forward as an entrepreneur, as an investor, as a deal maker, it is not going to be dependent upon how much cash you got or your credit score or your LLC. It just does not work that way. And for people to think it works that way is for people to basically say, I have a low financial maturity. I do not have the ability to use other financial resources, so I depend on money. I only depend on my credit score. I only depend on an LLC. When there was a time, I am a witness. I'm teaching you what I've lived. There was a time I didn't have money. I did not have credit. I didn't even have an LLC, and I was still doing deals, making things happen. Why? Because I was utilizing resources beyond the low financial maturity resources, okay? So hopefully you can understand, all right? Space Ghost says, DL in the house. DL ain't missing this food game from Brother Preston for nobody. I feel you. Absolutely. So I hope y'all understanding when it comes to your ability to use financial resources correctly, it is going to be determined by having a low financial maturity or by having a high financial maturity. Okay. And you want to have financial literacy, meaning that I want to understand money, cash. I want to be educated about cash. All right. I want to be educated about credit. I want to be educated about business entity structures, but I don't want to build my total dependency on those. Why? Because when it comes to financial maturity, not financial literacy, when it comes to financial maturity, I need a higher elevated ability to use financial resources that don't keep me dependent upon how much cash I got. If my credit score 850, or do I have enough LLCs? It don't matter. All right. Now, in the middle ground of low financial maturity and high financial maturity, you have this thing called leverage. Okay. So this is my point that I'm trying to make to you. There are people who don't have cash, who don't have credit, who don't even have an LLC, but they have the ability to use leverage in a way that is totally higher and different from the people who have cash, credit, and LLCs. So if all you had was knowledge and this ability to use the financial resource of leverage, if you knew how to do that, if you knew how to leverage a lot of different resources financially, you would not even need an entity, credit score, or cash. Now, you got to elevate yourself to catch what I'm saying, because I know a lot of people who hear this and they're like, bruh, you tripping. Show me proof. Show me receipts. Hey, all you got to do is come by the office. I'll show you proof and receipts. Okay? I got proof and receipts to show you that you can make things happen as an individual, as an entrepreneur, 1099 contractor, business owner, all of the above, investor, without that. But again, you got to elevate yourself from that. So I need to be knowledgeable of these things. I need to know how to correctly use these things, but I need to continue to grow, elevate, and mature so that I can get to a point to where my life ain't stopping and starting because I'm out of cash. My life ain't starting and stopping because I ain't got no credit. My life is stopping and starting because I got to wait till I get an LLC. No, you don't. It starts right here. You got to grow up. You got to mature financially. And in order for you to grow up and mature, it doesn't mean you're going to just watch another video, take another course, check another box. It means you're going to develop this ability to use these financial resources correctly. And I'm going to tell you right now, it takes more than information. I have an entire university training platform. I have an entire business and financial and investment program called the Millionaire Blueprint. And you can watch all those hundreds, almost 1,000 videos. And it doesn't mean you still gonna have the ability, because on top of the education, it requires experience. It requires practice. It requires reps. You got to put reps in. And how are you going to get the experience? How are you going to put the reps in? You got to start doing stuff. You got to start making moves. And if you're making the same moves, you're never going to get different results. But most people can't make no other moves because they don't have the knowledge, they don't have the confidence, they don't have the courage, they're not around the right people to work with them because they're not willing to pay the price and make those type of sacrifices. All right? Space Ghost, what's up? He say, Brother Preston dropping gems consistently. These are exciting times. Thank you so much, Brother Preston. You're a gifted, patient teacher. Hey, I love you, bro. Appreciate you, man. All right. So again, the low end of the spectrum for financial maturity, you got cash, credit, entity structure. In the middle, you have leverage. Leverage doesn't require any of these three. All right. And then when you start moving to the high financial maturity side of the spectrum, you're gonna have investment vehicles. So what are some investment vehicles? Investment vehicles could be private equity. Investment vehicles could be real estate. Investment vehicles could be a business, which is why I have M&A right here, mergers and acquisitions. So M&A is not just buying a business. M&A could be more than just buying a business. It could just be you structuring certain strategic alliances or putting together certain integrations or collaborations or partnerships. But in order for any of those high level, elevated things to happen, your mind has to be changed. Most people, including small business owners, they never make it over they don't even make it to the middle. But most business owners, they never make it over to the high financial maturity side because they're selfish, they have egos, they are territorial, they don't really put the time and the effort that they say they do in. And it shows in the decisions that they make. It shows in the commitments they're not willing to take. It shows in their lack of consistency. So when I talk to a entrepreneur or a small business owner and they flip-flopping, they here today, they gone tomorrow. One thing you ain't gonna never say about me, and all you gotta do is just look at my track record. You'll never be able to say, oh, he don't show up. All you gotta do is just Google me. All you have to do is just go to YouTube and look at the timestamps of videos to see the brother, he always shows up. He's consistent. You know why? Because I'm operating from a different place. I have a different understanding. It develops a different mindset. It builds a different muscle. And again, there was a time I was way down here because I was a victim. I was limited in my thinking. I restricted myself. I didn't have the confidence and the courage or the competency. I didn't have the knowledge and the experience and the reps. But once I flipped that switch and realized that, wait a minute, I'm just like everybody else. I don't want to be like everybody else because I have a level of success I want to experience. That's when I begin that process one day at a time. Okay? Like today could actually be that day. So we have investment vehicles, we have M&A, and we have IPOs. Y'all, I can't even believe it's already 12:27. I can't do a deeper dive into this because we want to wrap this up by 12:30. But I pray that you learned something today for part 2 of elevating your financial maturity. So please let me know what your biggest takeaway was from today's show. Let me know what your biggest takeaway was. What did you hear today? What did you learn today that got your attention, that made you think, and more importantly, tell me or just tell yourself, write down for yourself, what proactive steps are you going to take? What are you going to do different today to make a difference in your life tomorrow? You got to do something different today so that your life looks different tomorrow. That may mean you got to read more today. You got to study more. You got to take more time to put certain things in place. You got to make some phone calls. You got to work on a deal. You got to get rejected. You got to knock on some doors. Some things you may have to do today to make a difference in your life tomorrow. And I would love for you to share some of that in the chat, in the comments. Of course, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to put the questions in the chat and comments, and my team and I, we will come back and answer those questions as quickly as we possibly can. It is 12:29. I want you all to know on this beautiful Thursday that my team and I, we love you, we appreciate you, and we have nothing but the greatest of expectations for you. If there's anything that we can do to help you along the way, in the description of this video, you will see our contact information and a link to our advisory assessment form. You can complete it, submit it, and we'll be more than happy to reach back out to you and answer any questions you have to help you put together a roadmap for where you want to go, what you want to do, and what it's going to take to make it happen. With that being said, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining the Ramon Preston Show. We'll see you tomorrow. Same place, same time, right here, 12 o'clock.